I'm so happy for Rudy Gobert at this moment. Because going back a number of years, if you really think about it, the stuff that a lot of people were mad at him for really wasn't any of his fault, right? So let's start with the contract, right? He signed the $200 million supermax contract with the Utah Jazz. People are mad at him because he wasn't really deserving of that kind of contract. But it's like, so are you mad at him for taking the money that was presented to him? Or are you really mad at the Jazz for offering that kind of deal? Or are you mad at the structure of contracts where a guy who probably isn't worth $200 million getting a contract that's worth $200 million, and also where, you know, like the Jazz are sort of strongholded, where it's like you don't want to lose Rudy Gobert, but you don't want to pay him $200 million, but the only way to keep him is to pay him the $200 million. But again, none of that is Gobert's fault, because like, what are you not going to take as much money as possible? Moving down the list, there's basically this complaint that he couldn't carry an entire Jazz defense, a Jazz defense that besides him, I think had a negative defender at every single position. And so like there were a lot of plays that people would like single out. This is why Gobert is a fraud defensive player of the year, when it would start by a Jazz perimeter defender getting absolutely blown by and Gobert just having to cover for everyone, which like isn't really fair. Like, I don't know if there's any defender in the league who just like comfortably just roam the entire court. So again, like, are you mad at Gobert or are you mad at the Jazz for not really surrounding him with just like bare minimum competent defensive pieces? And then he gets traded to Minnesota, and the trade package is obviously wild stuff. But again, it's like, why are you mad at Gobert? Like, he didn't do anything. You're not mad at Gobert. You're mad at the Wolves front office for giving up way too much for a guy who just isn't worth that. Again, not Gobert's fault. And this isn't me saying Gobert is a player that he isn't, right? I still don't think he's a traditional one of the best players of the team, right? He can't carry the offense. In fact, his offense is still pretty damn bad. But like you see on this Minnesota team, this is the kind of team Gobert should be on, where he's surrounded by other competent defenders. Guys who can fight over the screens, who can stay in front of their guy, and which by extension keeps Gobert near the paint, which is where he should be. Like, he's not a Giannis and he's not a Bam who could guard multiple positions, who could switch on anything, right? He can't do that. He needs to be near the paint, and that was much harder to do in Utah because he had to try and cover for all the guys who kept letting their matchups blow by them. And so like you see in Minnesota what it means to play with a guy like Anthony Edwards, with a guy like Jaden McDaniels, guys who do their job at the defensive end at a pretty high level. The results speak for themselves. Minnesota has the best defense in the league right now. Gobert is back to averaging over 2 blocks a game, and like he's just deterring so many more. Like there was a play last night against Golden State where Dario Saric got the ball right at the rim. Gobert standing right there. Dario Saric, 1 pump fake, 2 pump fake, 3 pump fake, 4, like 5, and Gobert just didn't bite. And Dario Saric took like a fadeaway shot that missed. Looney got the rebound and put it back in. But like you see, the Gobert effect is real when he's in his domain around the paint. We talk about this with a lot of guys in the NBA. We talk about it a lot with young guys, but it's like you need to be put in a position to succeed. And in Utah, you know, Gobert's greatness could do a lot. That's why he won 3 Defensive Player of the Years, but like it could only do so much, especially come playoff time. But you look at Minnesota, where they have the pieces around him that put Gobert in position to succeed. All of a sudden, oh wow, now people are suddenly remembering how good Rudy Gobert is. A big part of this resurgence is Gobert admits he's a bit healthier than he was last year. So that's a big part of it as well. But again, like credit to Minnesota for doing what the Jazz didn't in just putting the right pieces around him. And maybe I guess to say like what they didn't isn't really fair, just because like sometimes it's just you're limited in the pieces you have. Like I'm truly happy for him, because I think if you really took the time to just break down the context of every single criticism you had of Rudy Gobert over the last few years, you would understand that only so much of it was his fault. And so now to see him put in a position to succeed, and to see him actually succeeding there, it's just a testament to, again, circumstances above everything. And it's also great for the Wolves. They've won 6 straight. Like, things are looking up, man. And Gobert's a really big part of that. And I hope he continues to get the credit that he deserves for that.